Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands and around the world on the iHeart Radio application. Download it today. It is free. And again, we appreciate you being a part of the program as we walk into league play this week for your Clemson Tigers. And not exactly the toughest slate of league games. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney coming up here on the program in just a little bit. And again, hour two, we'll peek over the fence into the backyard of the South Carolina Gamecocks as our buddy Mike Yuva joins the program from Watch Fox 57 in the Midlands. 803-450-0086. Look, we talked a little bit over the course of yesterday's program as we dove into the wild weekend that was in college football. The fact that, yes, there is always, I think, going to be criticism of scheduling in the Atlantic Coast Conference and maybe several other leagues. But look, when you look at what the ACC has done thus far, when it comes down to play against lower tier teams, not great in a lot of respects. When it comes to play against the SEC, hadn't been great. I mean, Pittsburgh this last weekend seems to be a decently bright spot, but maybe not a huge bright spot, knocking off Tennessee. Clemson losing to Georgia. Louisville losing to Ole Miss. I mean, Miami losing to Alabama, even though everybody kind of expected that one. Florida State losing to Jacksonville State. I mean, the league is taking a hit, right? But you can only play who's available. I mean, you can only play the teams on your schedule. And whatever deficiencies lie at a number of schools around the Atlantic Coast Conference, or any other conference for that matter, is not the fault of Clemson, not the fault of Alabama. So when we have schedules that yield a high number of conference games and a large percentage of your games being in conference, I've always made the argument about how difficult it truly is to evaluate in a lot of respects. But you got to take care of business outside of your league. You got to take care of business against lesser opponents. And the Atlantic Coast Conference has not done that. I mean, a prime example in just like if you're just one of these, man, the SEC guys, they just blow this thing up. Dude, Arkansas drilled Texas, the 15th ranked Longhorns. And Florida State got beat by Jacksonville State. Like, your teams in your league have to do work outside of conference. But again, it is not the measure of who you are. And that is an important component in all this that I think people sometimes want to slough off and forget. That what happens in Tallahassee, what happens in Winston-Salem, means squadoosh to how good Clemson is. It means nothing. It means nothing this Saturday when Clemson plays Georgia Tech. It means nothing in December if Clemson's in the ACC championship game. It really means nothing, however good your opponents are. Sure, is it nice to enter into postseason play or the college football playoff having gone through a rigorous schedule? Absolutely. You'd be battle tested and all those things. But it doesn't change who your team is. Doesn't change the core elements of what you've got. And it's the reason that the great coaches in sports don't focus on the opponent. They focus on themselves. There's a reason that UCLA, under head coach John Wooden, was so incredibly successful. They weren't competing against every other program in the country. They were competing against UCLA every day, every possession, every shot. And so with that in mind, and league play looming for Clemson, and again, a league that is not greatly celebrated nationally by the virtues of what it has done on its own. Although I am occasionally astounded that I don't recall this being an issue for Florida State when they were so good. Nonetheless, I posed the question, is league play in this capacity a bad idea? And what I mean by that is, if you are a Clemson of the world and you are in the Atlantic Division of the ACC, and there are multiple ranked teams in the Coastal Division, and you just happen to be in a year where you don't play any of those teams in the regular season, what more can you do? I don't know that you can do anything. You just have to play the games that are available. And that's the only thing that Clemson can really control. Now, over the long haul, and as we talk about college football playoff, as we talk about the expansion of the college football playoff, as we talk about the expansion of conferences, especially given the fact that the SEC is taking this thing up to 16 teams by adding Oklahoma and Texas at some point, is there a way in which we can either A, nullify these conversations about who you play, or B, find a better way to balance out the conferences from coast to coast? And again, there's still going to be some luck of the draw. And if you're a South Carolina Gamecock peeking over the fence, look, what's happened to you in the SEC is essentially not just the bad luck of the draw, but the bad luck of the draw plus timing. I mean, South Carolina was playing Arkansas as their cross-division opponent when Houston Nutt was there, and they had running backs galore, and they were a top 10 team, maybe even a top 5 team in some years. And that was South Carolina's West Division cross-conference opponent. And little did you know, Texas A&M comes into the league. You end up getting switched off to A&M, and then boom goes the dynamite. Texas A&M is now a top 5, top 10 team this year, last year, and maybe for the future. A lot of people buying into Jimbo Fisher there. Obviously, the folks in College Station they bumped his pay $1.5 million recently. And so I've just wondered for the longest time, how can we better evaluate these teams? And if we go to 16, I do believe one of the great benefits of this will be that I think we will finally have these leagues working together to create a more balanced schedule and a more balanced scheduling model. And I think it's going to be hard. But I think it can be done. Because right now for Clemson, your cross-conference rival, dude, is Georgia Tech. And they've been bad. And Clemson beating them 73-7 last season, with the possibility of putting up a big number on Saturday, being nearly 30-point favorites. Like, I don't know the exact answer in this current model that we have, But you can make the argument that the cross-division rival is a terrible idea. That you'd be better off, instead of cross-division rivals, that you'd be better off perhaps pairing up some of the top teams cross-division every year. The perceived top teams. Who's going to be one of those teams that's going to be in the conversation of the college football playoff? Like Clemson could have used the opportunity to play a North Carolina or Miami this year. They could have taken advantage of that opportunity. But instead, it's just dumb luck who you end up with. Now, schedules in college football are absurd. I mean, we know who Clemson's playing in 2035 in some respects. You know, almost every team in the country can go out 15 years and tell you, oh, man, yeah, can't wait. Dabo Swinney kind of joked the other day talking about Clemson in Georgia when he got that job in 2008 midseason, that people are already talking about that Clemson-Georgia matchup in 2013. He said, 2013? I don't even know if I'm going to be here. But they were already fired up about it. So we've talked in the past here on the show that shakes the Southland about a commissioner of college football, and the advantages that would come along with that. And there are certainly some disadvantages. I'm sure you could come up with 100 of them. If you want to send me 100, if you want to send me 5, 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. But I do believe that what we will see, if we can get there, is the ability for college football to schedule better and more efficiently. Like, I don't think it's just dumb luck that Jacksonville and Houston were in the opener in the NFL, right? They wanted to put together a matchup between Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. And if you bebop around the league in the NFL in week 1 specifically, what you find is a concerted effort to get some games out there that generate early season interest. It's just a byproduct of the marketing scheme that the NFL has perfectly capitalized on and created. And so with that thought process being out there, like, do you think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers just happen to be hooking up with the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, arguably the most fans of any team in the NFL, although they haven't had a boatload of success? Do you know the eyeballs on the previous Super Bowl champions or the reigning Super Bowl champions and the Cowboys? I mean, that it's little things like that that a commissioner in a league can do and put together very quickly. And the problem is that the revenues at the college game is so much different than the revenues in the professional game. And you also don't have a system where the worst team gets the first pick. And so we have a system that perpetuates dominance. If you're Alabama, if you're Clemson, if you're Ohio State, but where I think a commissioner could come in and really help out with something like this is, one, creating a schedule model that would eliminate these automatic cross-divisional opponents. Now, I think you should have some autonomy on a couple of ball games. For example, Clemson and South Carolina should always play. Alabama and Auburn should always play. And if Alabama and Tennessee have to always play, then fine. A couple of games that you just lock in. We are always going to play this team. Or we always want to have a flex game available in addition to one of our locks. But then get a schedule model out where you play against the teams in your division. So if you have 8-team divisions, you play 7 division games, and we have a clear-cut division champ. This team won this division. Next, play a game against one of the teams from the other Power 5 leagues, meaning you have gone from 7 games to 8, 9, 10, 11 games. Then maybe that one that you're holding. Unless that one that you're holding falls into, in Clemson's case, South Carolina might be Clemson's SEC opponent in certain years where they would have been anyway, and then that would open up a spot for Clemson to schedule somebody else. But right now, to hold these schedules against Clemson, hold the schedules against even Ohio State. I mean, their schedules, they got about 4 or 5 weeks here that's not very good. Clemson, you hear about Phil Dracovic yesterday. I don't even know, did that come out during our show or after? Quarterback at Boston College, I think during our show. Out. Yeah, it came right after Qualk was on. Out. Clemson plays him in a couple of weeks. I mean, without Dracovic, look, I've said this before. I don't think Jeff Hafley's going to be there very long. I like what he's doing, but dude, they're not going to be. They probably weren't going to beat Clemson with him. They're certainly not going to beat him without him. I mean, unless the next guy that rolls in is Joe Montana Jr., Tom Brady the third. Like, unless that's the case. So schedules and the conversations that you're going to have or you're going to hear moving forward about Clemson, I mean, tune that out. There's nothing you can do. It's the way it's set up right now. I hope we have a better day where we don't have to hear those conversations and that maybe, they'll pair up some of the top flight teams in the country to give us results, even if it's a loss. And that's the other thing. Like, better to win than to lose in any capacity, it feels like. And incredibly, when you lose a game in the SEC for years, talk about, man, that was a quality loss. That's a quality loss. Well, then I'll snag that for a minute. Clemson has a quality loss on their schedule already. Because I think Georgia's going to continue to just run the table. And as long as that happens, the way Clemson lost, listen, it's better than, there is no reason at this point. You can't give me a single reason that if Clemson and Ohio State went out, that Ohio State would be ranked higher than Clemson at the end of the year. Not at this point. Not given the way their defenses played, not given the points they gave up, and the way Oregon won that game, and the way they were in trouble at times against Minnesota. Didn't play great against Minnesota. If Ohio State passes Clemson in the polls at any point this season, without the Tigers losing, you should be absolutely irate. Absolutely irate. They got beat by a worse team than Georgia. Now, if Georgia falls off and loses 3 or 4 games, and then Oregon keeps winning and Ohio State keeps winning, yeah. Talk to me then. Talk to me then. But with the scenario that we are presented, all you can do is go out and play your games. If Clemson wins out and Georgia continues to win, then that's just the way it is. And some people won't like it. They'll say, man, well, Clemson doesn't play anybody. Dude, you can only play who you can play, and Clemson scheduled Georgia in the opener. One of the top, currently 2 teams in the country. I mean, you can only play who you can play. And Clemson should not be punished by their conference by any means. It's all about how you play. 803-450-0086. We hit a quick break. We'll bounce back with more of the show that shakes the Southland, a major coaching update coming out late yesterday. We'll dive into that a little bit here on the show that shakes the Southland. Stay with us.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A look at traffic shows a wreck on I-20 eastbound near the Monticello Road exit. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. Looking for serious horsepower for your tough jobs? Get to Northern Tool. Monday through Saturday, they're now open at 7 a.m. to serve you better. Kickstart your workday with them and get more done. Northern Tool and Equipment. Quality tools for serious work.
The biggest stars from all genres of music will share one stage at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Moments here from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
2 nights of performances you've never seen before. Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com. And listen on iHeartRadio this Friday and Saturday, starting at 10 p.m.
Capital One is a proud partner of the 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival, bringing great products, rewards, and services to their customers. What's in your wallet?
You are in charge, and you don't have to suffer with erectile dysfunction any longer. Just call Peak Performance for Men today to get started. Peak Performance for Men has a success rate of over 85% for men with erectile dysfunction. They help you with focused linear compression therapy. This treatment focuses on the cause, which is lack of blood flow. Sound waves repair aged blood vessels, stimulate growth of new blood vessels, and remove decades of microplaque. All this without surgery, painful needles, harmful medications, and no downtime. Listen to what one client had to say.
Visiting the clinic was the best choice I ever made. The staff was friendly and respectful. They never made me feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. I only wish I had known about it years ago. I took charge and got great results.
So call Peak Performance for Men today. Don't put it off. It's painless and it's effective, and there's no downtime. Peak Performance for Men. Call 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Way back when, Columbia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Columbia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it. The real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
Cutting-edge Braille instruction, both in-house and virtual computer training, educational workshops, job coaching. These are just some of the critical services offered by the Federation Center of the Blind, which is affiliated with the National Federation of the Blind of South Carolina. This year, we're observing our 60th anniversary. We invite you to join us by calling 803-254-3777 or emailing nfbsc@sc.rr.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
It is the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon. Well, we mentioned yesterday late in the program, by the way, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell on Facebook. Do whatever you got to do. Be a part of the show. We mentioned yesterday on Facebook that Clay Helton, well, we didn't mention on Facebook. We mentioned on the show that Clay Helton, head coach out at Southern Cal, or now former head coach at Southern Cal, was relieved of his duties after just 2 ball games. I don't want to say this is a shocking move because there have been questions about Clay Helton for a while. And for whatever reason, and maybe culture, certainly the players seem to be invested in their head coach, but the performance that they had this past weekend against Stanford was not indicative of that. And look, I get it. They were a top 15 team. They were embarrassed. They looked, I had that game on, and they looked disinterested at times in being there. And I think that's one of the things that really can crush you as a coach is when it feels like your team isn't interested in having, and playing their best and giving their best effort. I mean, because the fans read that and they're like, "Oh, what's going on here? Is there something wrong in the locker room?" Now, I would say that if Clay Helton were this close to being fired, like it's so weird that you're 1-1. You got 10 games left in the regular season. If it was that bad previously, why'd you keep him anyway? Like, that's one question I think you have to ask. Helton's under contract through 2023. His buyout is in the $12 million range. I mean, would you have fired him after week 1? You know what I mean? Like, that's the question that I feel like fans at Southern Cal have to ask themselves. Now, again, they played San Jose State in the opener, and they beat them 30-7. So it's not like that was a close ball game. But I think the legitimate question is, okay, well, if you open with Stanford and you got beat the way they did in week 1, are you firing a coach week 1 for a loss? And if you are, why didn't you just get rid of him at the end of the season a year ago? Like, that to me is the biggest question of all. And honest to goodness, looking at their schedule, they got Notre Dame, who's a top 12 team, UCLA, who's zipped up into the top 13. You've got Arizona State, a top 20 team. You got BYU, a top 25 team. I mean, they got 4 ranked opponents left. I mean, we were just talking about schedules a few minutes ago, and you can only play who's available. You got 4 current top 25 programs on your schedule. And yeah, 3 of the 4 are in the final 4 weeks of the season. But if you go through this schedule the rest of the way, and maybe they won't, maybe they'll falter, maybe they'll lose this weekend against Washington State. But I don't see why you would feel the need to press the panic button today after your team. Now, again, it was a small slate last year, but they went 6-1, right? 6-1, losing their final game of the season to Oregon. I mean, how is that a reasonable decision to make at this point, given the remaining schedule that was lying ahead of you? Look, Clemson fired Tommy Bowden in 2008. They were 3-3. Middle of the year. You'd given some time to that season. And you started to look forward to the future, say, look, it's not going to work out. You bring Dabo Swinney in. And again, who knew that this is what Clemson would become under Dabo Swinney? Very few of you would have bought into that theory. But just the second game of the season, I mean, that would have essentially been Clemson in 2008 firing Tommy Bowden after they lost to Alabama in the opener. Now, some of you will probably say, well, they should have, Swanee. They waited 5 too many weeks. Maybe Dabo Swinney could have done more with that team. But then that again puts me right back into the question of why were you keeping him around anyway? If that was the move you were going to make after a singular ball game that season for Clemson. So why would this be the move you would make? Now, interestingly, Tony Elliott, Clemson offensive coordinator. Some of you have been saying, hey, Tony, go back to Michelin. Well, I'm pretty sure that Biggie Smalls, the notorious B.I.G. once said, I'm going back to Cali. Tony Elliott's got ties to the state of California. Of course, the great story that ESPN Game Day told about Tony's mother tragically being killed in a car accident. And then, coming to South Carolina, he ends up at Dabo Swinney's house. And I can't remember the name of the street. Let me see if I can throw this in my Google machine real quick and get it for you. And the thing about it was that the street that Dabo Swinney lived on had a eerily similar name. And I remember Dabo saying to him in that clip, saying that how cool was it, or maybe that's not the right word, but how unique was it that Tony was being hired and promoted on the same street where, with the same name as the street that his mother passed away on. I was trying to find it. I'll look it up during the break. I couldn't dig in on it quick enough here. Stay with us.
That can hurt any part of your body, like your joints, heart, kidneys. Your immune system becomes so hyperactive that it attacks instead of protects. That's lupus. You don't look sick, so no one knows you feel awful. You also may know someone who has it. Join us for Lupus Research Alliance's virtual Many One Can. Walk with us to cure lupus, October 2nd at noon. No one can cure it alone, but many one can. Visit walk.lupusresearch.org to register now.
Fall is a season that's a little in the middle. It's sort of the best of two seasons. It's no longer a sweaty summer, but the winter chill is still around the corner. And that's the perfect time to feed and seed your lawn with Scott's Turf Builder. Even better than spring, because the soil is still warm, but the air is getting cool. So your lawn gets the most nutrients in the best combination of temperatures. Feed and seed now with Scott's Turf Builder and build the best lawn for every season. Scott's, it's good out here.
Hey, Gamecock fans, Scott here for Gamecock Traditions. Opening day 2021 was incredible, and we want to say thank you. Even with COVID delays, we were blown away by the support. We are really excited for you to see all the new merchandise, especially in the kids and ladies department, arriving over the next few weeks. Be on the lookout from our social media sites and our emails, as we will be announcing many new items. Gamecock Traditions is located at 5134 Sunset Boulevard, or visit GamecockTraditions.com. Gamecock Traditions, we don't just sell Gamecock merchandise, we're fans too.
When it's hot, it is hot. Stay cool with Wilson'sAir.com weather update.
Another beautiful day on tap for us today. Low humidity, nice warm conditions, 91. For ABC Columbia Channel 25, I'm Tyler Ryan.
This report is sponsored by Brakes for Less.
Brakes for Less is what we do. We know drums, rotors, pads, and shoes. It doesn't matter what kind of car you got. Call 888-261-STOP. All we do
are Brakes for Less.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. And you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio pre-diabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Sports Radio. Fox Attitude. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Again, it is Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you. Sycamore Street was the name of the street. ESPN ran an incredible story on Tony Elliott back in 2019 about how Clemson's offensive coordinator is motivated by tragedy. And Tony said in the piece, he said, as much as I lost that day, as much as it was taken away from me that day, I was given a lot as well. And he saw the community and how they treated him and his family. And then, of course, just a kid that fought his way to Clemson, had an engineering degree, went and worked at Michelin. Buddy Pugh, the head coach at SC State, gave him an opportunity to cut his teeth as a coach when he wanted to switch it up and get back into the game. And now he's, one of the higher paid coaches, assistant coaches in college football. He is a friend. I wouldn't necessarily label Tony Elliott as a dear friend. Like, we don't have lunch. But when we were in college, we knew each other pretty well. We have many, many mutual friends and certainly played some basketball together. And, look, I want to see him be successful. I know he wants to be successful. I know this season offensively hasn't been what a lot of people would have wanted to be or would have wanted it to be so far, especially in that Georgia game. I think there's also, though, the fact that all of the what did Dabo call them? The thumb warriors. What was it? Dabo Swinney had a thumb gangsters. I think it's what Dabo called them last year. All the thumb gangsters on social media that just tweet at you and try to, make you feel bad about yourself. These guys came after Tony Elliott last week, and Dabo Swinney has stood there and defended him and said, "Look, man, people forget how good Tony Elliott has been." And so I think that a moment like this, when Clay Helton and that job at Southern Cal come open, you might have been a guy that said 7-8 days ago, yeah, man, I wish Tony Elliott was gone. But for a kid that was born out in Watsonville, California, now with the Southern Cal job coming open, and his name's certainly going to be one of the top. I mean, it's going to be there. When you talk about culture, accountability, discipline, academics, and again, I've said for a long time that, I always felt like of Tony Elliott, Jeff Scott, and Brent Venables, if I had to choose the next guy to be the head coach at Clemson, it would probably be Tony Elliott. Like if Dabo Swinney today said, "Hey, Swanee, I got to hang it up," I'd probably wanted to go to Tony Elliott. And somebody would say, "What? What are you talking about, Swanee?" I just think that Tony Elliott's got the goods to be a Power 5 head coach and a successful one. I think he's got a chance to be a very successful head coach. And if Swinney were hanging it up today and you said, "Swanee, who do you want?" I would say put Tony Elliott in that seat. And again, part of that is, I think, personally for me, Venables' mindset. I think Venables is just a defensive guy. I think that's what he wants to be, a defensive guy. He doesn't want to have to deal with dudes like me asking questions that he doesn't want to have to answer. Tony Elliott went 30 minutes yesterday during his time with the media. All of it up on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Brent Venables went like 12. It's common. It's common for Venables, even before Ross Taylor took over. Tim Ray joins us every Thursday. Tim has famously joked at times that you'd go in there to call Brent Venables to go do his media obligation, and he's like, "There's 5 more minutes." Go back in 5 minutes. Oh yeah, just 5 more. He's interested in film study. He's interested in tendencies. He's interested in creating a game plan. I don't think Brent Venables, and I think Brent Venables would probably admit this. He doesn't love that part of the gig. And you got to embrace that part of the gig to be a head coach. You don't just get to blow it off and say, man, well, I'm not going to do my media obligations. Not going to do the coach's show at the local wherever. Bar, restaurant, gas station, and grill. And so that, for me, is kind of the difference in these two guys. And I think that the fact that Tony Elliott's track record of success, the fact that he was a Clemson graduate with a degree in engineering, former walk-on, like sort of the same stories to a degree that Dabo Swinney has when it comes down to overcoming adversity. The things that the moms and the dads who are entrusting their sons, or I was going to say and daughters, but yes, the things that parents want to entrust their children to, the type of people that you want your kids playing for, the type of culture you want instilled in them. I mean, those are the kind of things that Tony Elliott puts in. And I'm not saying Brent Venables does the opposite on that front either. Not at all. But I'm just saying that as a face of a program, Tony Elliott's going to be at the top of a lot of lists moving forward. Whether or not you think he did a good job play calling, etc., against Georgia. It's easy to sit back and be an undefeated, untied, and winless armchair offensive coordinator. It's another thing to go sit in that seat and do it. Has Clemson been great this year? No, you're not going to hear that from me. You're not going to hear that from Tony Elliott. But I can tell you, since Tony Elliott's taken over that program as the offensive coordinator, it's been one of the best programs in America. And I have no reason to believe that he won't have great success as a head coach somewhere at some point, whether it's Southern Cal or Clemson. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon as we roll along. Don't forget, we'll peek over the fence into the backyard of the South Carolina Gamecocks, coming off of their walk-off win over East Carolina this past weekend, 2-0. Shane Beamer, what do you know? We'll talk with Mike Yuva about that coming up in hour number 2. Plus, we'll hear from Dabo Swinney then as well. Stick with us here for more of the People Show, the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk.
The Gamecocks are 2-0 under Shane Beamer after that last-second win at East Carolina. Saturday, the stakes go way up. Hey, it's Christopher Thompson, 103.5 FM and 560 AM WVOC. We'll get you ready for Carolina's SEC opener at second-ranked Georgia with our pregame show at Savage Craft Ale Works in West Columbia. And then your chance to sound off on our fifth-quarter postgame show as soon as the final whistle blows in Athens. The best Gamecock coverage this Saturday on WVOC.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meeting Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meeting Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Plus tax, tags, and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. Emily in Red Bank was struggling after a recent divorce to reestablish her credit. She had a new job, but needed a safe new vehicle for her and her kids. Then she came to JT's Kia. JT was able to get her approved, and now she and her kids are safe and happy in a 2022 Kia Sportage, the SUV that starts under 25 grand. Plus, it's helping to build her credit back up. See how JT can help you at JT's Kia. I-77 at Killian Road, jtskia.com.
The world is upside down and millions of Americans are out of work. Debt keeps rising, and yet taxes and interest rates are at historically low levels. What's going to happen next? Oh, I don't know. Space monkeys could arrive. Times like these, it is important to do your homework and be prepared, especially if you're near retirement. Hi, it's Glenn Beck. This is not the time to go it alone and hope for the best. I want you to call Pat Struby today and find out what he can do for you right now. Do what other families just like yours have done for over 20 years. Call the team at Preservation Specialists. Call 803-9-RETIRE and schedule a complimentary phone or video consultation. Pat Struby and his team at Preservation Specialists are local and independent. Their focus is you and your retirement. So call 803-9-RETIRE. Schedule a complimentary consultation and be prepared for your retirement years. 803-9-RETIRE.
Glenn Beck has been remunerated and is not a client. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
I'm Aditi Kinkabwala.
And I'm Mike Yam.
We love football so much, we figured let's start a podcast and call it NFL Explained, where we just answer all the crazy questions we get about football all the time.
Like how the Buffalo Bills got their name, or who even came up with the Sky Camp, because that is actually a really cool idea.
Answers to questions like that and more every Thursday. Come join us for the NFL Explained podcast.
You can listen to NFL Explained on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You're bringing your daughter to a pop concert. Do you A, wear earplugs?
Isn't this fun, Dad?
I have a soft pretzel.
Or B, just roll with it?
Justin! OMG! I love you, Justin! I love you!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Clemson Sports Talk on a Thursday afternoon against Clemson and Georgia Tech coming up this Saturday. Death Valley, the Atlantic Coast Conference opener for your Clemson Tigers. And again, coming against a Georgia Tech team that the Tigers just absolutely obliterated last season, 73-7. So we were talking about Tony Elliott before the break, and you know, this whole situation with Lynn J. Dixon is strange, to say the least. Now, yesterday, after we got off the air, I was on the air in the upstate on 105.5 The Roar. My buddy Mark Childress was hosting his show. And, I mean, as we are on the air talking about the situation, almost literally, I mean, I'm getting ready to get off. We just mentioned Tony Elliott and Lynn J. Dixon, and the roster comes out, and the two starters, the two deep, has Will Shipley and Kobe Pace there, and then you've got Lynn J. Dixon, who's waited his turn at Clemson, but waiting your turn doesn't guarantee you anything, doesn't obligate you to playing time or starting or anything, is third on the depth chart, and with Pace and Shipley being quote who's going to be the starter. Now, I've had people reach out to me. You can text me as well, 803-450-0086. They said, man, I don't like the way Dabo Swinney's handling this. But I was talking with Tyrese Ingram, who writes for us over on our website yesterday, and he made a great point. And I think this is key. Now, look, if you want to argue that you didn't like it when Dabo Swinney came out and said, when he was asked what's going on with Lynn-J Dixon after the game on Saturday, where he came out, he was a starter. Started first couple of plays and then kind of vanished for a while. And Dabo Swinney's answer was, look, he's got to grow up. It's simple as that. And some people didn't love that. Didn't think that was, whether it's how Swinney said it or what he said. I mean, I'm not 100% certain, as to what made people feel that way or feel like it was maybe too much. But the truth is that when Clemson was in the playoff for the first time back in 2015, I vividly remember we're driving down the road, we're going to the game, driving to Miami. It's the day before the game, maybe 2 days before the game. And it pops up on the TV that Deion Kane has been suspended and is out. Deion Kane didn't play in the Orange Bowl. Deion Kane didn't play in the national championship game. And look, it wasn't like Deion Kane was some chopped liver backup. I mean, he was a really good wide receiver that Clemson certainly could have utilized in the ball games. In the ball games in Miami and out in Arizona. In addition to that, that's a championship game. And if you just go, well, it's a championship game, we're going to let him play, then you really kind of let your team down as a whole. So if Swinney was willing to do that, and Tyrese said it, and it made so much sense to me, then why would we in any reason believe, why would we believe in any way, shape, or form? And again, no offense here. Why would we believe that Lynn-J Dixon would get some sort of preferential treatment in week 1 or 2 of a college football season? Here's what Dabo Swinney had to say when he was asked about Lynn-J Saturday after the ball game.
He just needs to grow up. It's just that simple. He needs to be a team player and just grow up. He's a very good player. Obviously, he's very talented, and we've seen that. But just need him to stay out of Spiller's doghouse. That's really it.
Dabo Swinney again talking about Lynn-J Dixon. Again, we don't know the exact particulars on it, and I didn't get a chance to listen to all of Dabo Swinney's teleconference today. But you have to have standards. And Tony Elliott talked about this as well yesterday. And he talked about when he got the job at Clemson, and there was, he was the new running backs coach, and Andre Ellington had been around for a while, and he essentially said, hey, we didn't quote butt heads per se, but they had to adjust to me being the guy in the locker room, being the guy in the running back room as their coach. And so, I think from the perspective of what's going on right now, yeah, it's tough for Lynn J, but the reality is, dude, you got to listen. You got to listen to what your coach, your position coach is saying. Here's Tony Elliott.
Right. I have, because I've been, a part of his life, but at the same time too, CJ has to establish the culture in that room. And really the biggest thing is just accountability and communication between the two. And I remember when I first came in, I had Mike Bellamy, I had DeMont Bice, and, Ellington was an older guy, had Hot Rod, and I had to establish, the dominant role in that room. And obviously Ellington had been here for a while, and not saying that we butted heads, but we had to get on the same page.
So there you go. Tony Elliott, similar situation. We hit a break, hour 2. Mike Uva joins us.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A look at traffic shows a wreck on I-20 eastbound near the Monticello Road exit. If you're stuck, use the 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news. The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
It's time to get your home insanely clean. Listen, Zero Res cleans like no other. No harsh chemicals and no sticky soapy residue is left behind. And right now, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $119. Plus, when you mention this station, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Imagine a disease that can hurt any part of your body, like your joints, heart, kidneys. Your immune system becomes so hyperactive that it attacks instead of protects. That's lupus. You don't look sick, so no one knows you feel awful. You also may know someone who has it. Join us for Lupus Research Alliance's virtual Many One Can. Walk with us to cure lupus, October 2nd at noon. No one can cure it alone, but many one can. Visit walk.lupusresearch.org to register now.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you ready to take a shot at finding a new career? FN America, a growing world-class design and manufacturer of the world's most innovative and quality firearms, is looking for you. At FN, you'll be part of a passionate team that takes pride in knowing they're doing their part to save lives and protect our freedom. FN offers outstanding benefits, including an on-site health and wellness center, excellent health plans, profit sharing, and 401k plan for all employees. So start carrying your future today and explore career opportunities at fnamerica.com/careers.
Every year, Steve Faircal climbs the stairs at the John Hancock Center in Chicago, 94 floors to the top.
It's called the hustle up the Hancock.
It's hard to believe when you watch Steve today that a few years ago, his lungs were failing and he was fighting to survive.
For 8 hours a day, someone was pounding on my chest to try and keep my lungs clear. I honestly don't think I had more than a couple weeks to live.
That's when Steve received the gift of life, a double lung transplant made possible by an organ donor.
After I got my new lungs, I started doing things that I had never been able to do. I never knew that breathing could feel this good.
Steve climbs to honor his donor and to raise awareness for organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Wouldn't you like that when you left this beautiful planet, that you could save a few lives on your way out? It's an incredible gift.
Imagine what you could make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired, Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan. Sorry, during the break I was cutting up some of the segments. If you did not know, if you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, we segment it. I'm not sure of any animals that are segmented, like an ant. We break it down for you. So, yeah, if you subscribe, we'd love to have you. We're hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers by game 6. Let's see what we got over here before we get to Mike Yuva. I got to send him the invite anyway. Real quick, taking a look out towards your comments for us today. And again, if you're watching, you can punch it in there. John says Swanee, Clemson can control the non-conference games, right? And don't they? I mean, I know you agree, John. Like, they go out and they play whoever they can. And you know what nobody's ever said to me? I have never once heard this about Clemson. They don't schedule out of conference games, dude. They've played at A&M. They played at Auburn. They played the neutral site game at Georgia. They got another matchup coming up with Georgia. I mean, it's just one after the other with this team. And a part of that is, look, Clemson recognizes that you got to play those games. You got to play those games. And I'm cool with that. Like, I'm good with that. I appreciate that fact. I just think that to hold the conference schedule against them when, honestly, you just want to say, what can they do? What can Clemson do? It's not as if the ACC grants some kind of autonomy to allow you to go out and play North Carolina or Miami this year, or even grant some leeway to match up a couple of the top teams. You can only play who's on your schedule. And that's kind of dumb luck. It's kind of dumb luck. Like South Carolina, in a bad way, had some dumb luck. And that dumb luck is that, well, the Gamecocks played Arkansas when they were spectacular. And then A&M joins the league, and all of a sudden you get hooked up with them, and then next thing you know, the Aggies are one of the top teams in the country. Trying to think, there was a game. Oh, man, I can't remember what year. Darren McFadden, though, was the running back for Arkansas. He had a ball game against South Carolina that I swear I don't think that he got touched. 2007. He ran for 323 yards in that ball game. I'm pretty sure if they'd have been playing flag football, South Carolina wouldn't have been able to grab the flag off of him. That's how good he was that day. But much like Clemson's schedule this year, it's just dumb luck who it is. You can't help what these programs look like. South Carolina, unfortunately, went from being a team that had to play Arkansas when they were just jam up loaded on the offensive side of the ball some years. South Carolina wasn't fortunate enough to catch the bad Arkansas teams. all that often, to now A&M's their cross-division opponent. There's nothing you can really do. And I don't know how you fix it. Clemson, you just got to go out and you just have to go out and play the games you got. Sometimes you got to play against UVA. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to have Mike Yuba on your show. It is what it is. UVA is what it is. It is what it is. Mike, what's up, my man? How are you?
Good. How we doing, Swanee?
Man, I'm good. Look, it's funny. This whole thing, like a week ago, I told people pump the brakes on your concern. Lots of football left to be played. Then we had the weekend that we had, which is just, we could go anywhere with that one. But really, to me, Oregon beating Ohio State was exactly what I was talking about. Like, you can't just look at Clemson and Georgia and say, Georgia's great, Clemson's terrible, the Tigers are out. Man, there's way too much football left to be played.
No, there is way too much football to be played. And I think, listening to some of the things that you mentioned with Clemson in particular, I mean, the reality is this. The ACC, we've said this the last couple of years, and I know Tiger fans are sick and tired of hearing it. The conference is just not that strong. Unfortunately, that is something that Clemson can't control. What they can't control is year in and year out, being able to go out there. And I know it's a cliche line to use that so many coaches use, but leave no doubt. Go out there, prove that you are one of the best teams in the country, because the reality is this. Losing the talent that Clemson lost from a year ago, with the Travis Etiennes of the world, with Trevor Lawrence of the world, right? Losing those players, the College Football Playoff Committee is human, right? You would think sometimes that they would look at what they've done the last couple of years and be like, well, they're Clemson. Maybe that's the case with some, but maybe that isn't the case with others. Maybe some look at it and be like, well, they don't have the same key ingredients from last year back. And I mention all that because maybe in the past, maybe if this was last year and Clemson was in a similar situation, that maybe they would get in because they do have those star players. I mean, we were in this situation a year ago when Trevor Lawrence was out and DJ Uiagalelei came in, and it's not the exact same. It's little apples to oranges. And even with DJ, I mean, Clemson played a phenomenal game and pushed Notre Dame to the brinks before eventually going on to take care of them later on in the year. But the point being is, you have to do everything you can control. I mean, it is one of those things that does get frustrating because Clemson has been one of the most dominant teams in college football for the past decade. So the fact that it just comes down to this every year now, it's just like, wait, if they lose one game, if they lose two games, is their season done? When another team like Alabama, the Ohio States of the world, could eventually still get back into the college football playoff just because their conference is a little bit stronger. That's something Clemson can't control, and it does get frustrating, I'm sure, for Tiger fans.
Yeah, and at some point, I said this earlier, and I'll get your thoughts on it. I hate this phrase, a quality loss, right? But we've all heard it before. I mean, as long as Georgia keeps on winning, as long as the wheels just don't fall off in Athens, Clemson's going to have at the end of the year what people deem a quality loss. And they're going to say they stood toe-to-toe with Georgia, the number 2 team in the country. And when you start to compare all of these programs, if you just assume for a minute that people pick up losses, Clemson's loss is going to be viewed very favorably by comparison
to
everyone else.
Absolutely. And the thing you want to see happen for Georgia is you want them to be able to run the table, because the more success they have, the better that quality loss looks like, right? At the end of the year, you're talking about a strength of schedule standpoint. And I mentioned strength of schedule at the beginning of the year for Clemson. I mean, going into the year, it was going to be strong just because of who they were playing. And it looked like potentially it could be stronger than what it could be and what it looks like it's going to be now in the direction that's headed, because the opportunity to play perhaps North Carolina or play Miami in the ACC championship, not saying that it can't still look good, but because of some of these losses early on in the year to both those teams. And they both had Miami, they played Alabama for crying out loud. But the point being is you get to that point of being in the ACC championship game, it's not going to be the exact same depending on how they play out their schedules, because both teams already have one loss.
So, Mike, is there a solution in the current system that we have with these leagues where you've got a cross-division rival that you always play, like Clemson plays theirs this weekend, Georgia Tech, part of the reason I bring it up, and then you play a couple of other games across the conference? I mean, would leagues be better to attempt to do kind of what the NFL does, which it just with league games to balance the schedule. Now, again, it's a guessing game because you don't know what somebody's going to look like. You don't know that Phil Dracovich's going to get injured. I mean, you don't know what it's going to look like. But would it be wise for these leagues to say, okay, Clemson, instead of Pitt this year, you're going to play North Carolina in the regular season. And that's going to give either of you two teams an opportunity to pick up a clutch, a key win potentially, maybe over a top 20, top 15 opponent.
To me, it makes complete sense. And I'm sure if you go across not just the ACC, if you look at a lot of Power 5 conferences that are split into two divisions for their conference, yeah, I'm sure there's some matchups historically that you want to be able to keep intact. I get that. With that being said, to me, the majority of the teams across the country, I think it would make more sense for a couple of reasons to be able to just have kind of like a round robin. I don't know what the best way wording wise would be, but, for example, Alabama, right? They hadn't played in South Carolina in 10 years. Think about that. 10 years. That's ludicrous.
They're ducking the Gamecocks. I'm telling you, they're ducking the Gamecocks.
9 years, excuse me. It felt like a decade. I remember Christian Miller, who was a standout linebacker at Alabama, standout linebacker for Spring Valley here. I mean, he never had the opportunity in 5 years to play the University of South Carolina, a school that his father played at and was an All-American at. So I mention all that. It's crazy to think that you have some players that go through their 4, sometimes 5, even 6. Now with the COVID rule, and some players obviously were doing 6 years before that based on certain eligibility grants that they were able to receive, and they will never play a team in their conference, certain teams in their conference, just because of the way it's laid out. I think that's ludicrous. I think you should be rotating it year in and year out. I think that'd be great for the league. I think that'd be great for, the fans to be able to go travel, go to different places. I mean, when Alabama played South Carolina 2 years ago, as frustrating as it was trying to get into some of the bars in 5 Points or the Vista or wherever you were, I mean, they traveled extremely well. And I think that is just a small example. And obviously they are one of the powerhouses of college football. But I think fans enjoy going to different places, especially when it comes to conference games. So, I mean, Clemson fans, we know how well they've traveled, and God bless them. I mean, they've gone from Tampa, they've gone to Arizona, they've gone to Santa Clara these last couple of years. I mention all that. If they were to go play a different school and conference that they just don't play typically year in and year out, like to go down and play the University of Miami in Miami, I think a lot of fans would enjoy that trip.
Yeah, Clemson hadn't made that one since, I guess, 2017, maybe 16. Yeah, 2016, I guess, somewhere in there. I mean, it's been a while. 58-0, Al Golden's final game. Clemson just blitzed them. But, I agree completely. And it's also led us to things that have had to happen, like North Carolina and Wake Forest, maybe 2 years ago, 2019, I think, played a non-conference game.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the solution. For the problem, in example, the problem in the SEC is Alabama and Tennessee want to play every year. Well, you know what, guys? We want to get a little more, like you said, a little more round robin action, a little bit more balanced schedules for people. And if you guys want to play, make that your out of conference game.
And I'll tell you what, it happens in smaller divisions. Division II does that sometimes. I know, from the powerhouse of the Northeast 10, the conference I played in, Division II, they do that. Based on just the number of teams that are available, and just because it makes sense from a traveling standpoint, where they'll play a team early in the year and that game will be out of conference, and then they'll play that same team later in the year and that will be a conference game. So that does happen in college football. That's just an example for Division II. So for people saying, oh, that doesn't happen, it happens. And to say, well, you're playing the same team twice. The NFL, they play twice a year against teams in their own division. Now, granted, I understand every game matters there, but the point being is, this happens. This happens. We've seen this. I mean, shoot, just look like last year. Clemson and Notre Dame, they played twice, once in the regular season, once in conference play. So, I mean, don't say that you can't have it happen.
Could have been 3 times.
Yeah.
Could have been 3 if they win their games in the college football playoff. I mean, can you imagine that?
Yep.
If those 2 teams won, they would have played for a 3rd time. It would have been the rubber match. That would have been huge. I'm going to be honest. That would have been better than watching Alabama blow out Ohio State by 21 points. I'm just saying. Mike's on Twitter at Mike_UVA. All right, Mike, a walk-off winner for the South Carolina Gamecocks. And I will admit, it was indeed better with the theme song from the Titanic. Now that I take a look back at it.
Funny thing about that. So I made that video and I put it on a Twitter account that is not under my name, just in case for rules and regulations. Want to make sure you don't get your Twitter account suspended.
Got it.
Yeah. So I put that accidentally because the vid ID, that's what we call it in the old biz here in TV. The vid ID, I accidentally pushed that into the rundown for the 5 o'clock show yesterday, instead of just having the regular video of Parker White. So we're going into commercial break, and we have our music like, coming up next on Watch Fox News at 5, and the Titanic music's playing, and my poor director in the back room's like, what the hell is
what's going on?
What is going on? We got the Titanic music playing. So my poor co-host, who is our news anchor, she's reading everything. She's like, oh my God. She's like, I didn't know if someone had died. Like, what happened? Oh my goodness. Because like you hear the sad music, like, did someone get hurt? Like, oh my God. And I had to explain to everyone. I said, no, I screwed up. I was a ham bone. I accidentally pushed the wrong vid ID into the show. So,
Love it.
yeah, I'm waiting for that. Hopefully we don't get hit with the fine for playing some music on air.
Listen, don't I know, man? Don't I know? And I work at a radio station. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line again. And Mike's on Twitter at Mike_UVA. He's the biscuit king of the South. Trust me on that one. I do disagree. I don't really like the new Bojangles over there by Williams Brice. A little too gamecockish for me. I don't think they let me in, Mike. I don't think they let me in.
I can't. I was told not to say this, so I'll probably get yelled at.
Don't say it. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Oh, I'll be cryptic. Clemson fans will be very happy very soon. That's all I'll say. If they like Bojangles, that's all I'll say.
Boom goes the dynamite. All right, check it out. The Clemson Sports Talk logo in the background. We're going to be eating Bowberry biscuits left and right, like DJ Uyungala. Like, Mike, that's been a criticism of DJs since the NIL deal and the way the season started. Man, people have said, too many Bowberry biscuits, too many Dr. Peppers. I said, Mike, I've been saying it. I said, when NIL happens and these guys that work that 9 to 5.
You said this. You did say this back in the summer. I remember you saying this now.
And what are they doing? What are they coming after him for? Every bit of money that he's got, everything that he's got, that's his problem. He's too focused. Mike, I mean, is this the future now? Is this what we're going to have in college football all the time for these players that do get paid for what they do?
Yeah, all the couch coaches will start complaining. They'll say that their quarterback, in this case DJ Uyunglele, their running back receivers, all fat and jolly, sitting on their couch, and they don't care about football anymore, and they got to focus more on this and that. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, not the exact same situation, but we do a thing now called the Mix in the Water take of the week, and some of the takes you get are just crazy, outlandish takes. And one person from Gamecock Land said Shane Beamer needs to put down Twitter. He needs to stay off Twitter a little bit more. So it's just there. I've said it before. Gamecock and Clemson fans have some of the most passionate fans in all of college football, and that's why I love working in this state. But with every fan base, especially fan bases in this state, because of how much passion you have some of the biggest ham bones in the world that will take to Twitter or take to whatever and say whatever, because they just can't separate just the reality of, hey, that's just how things sometimes go in football. And they just don't want to accept it. So they want to find anything they can to criticize. So whether it be this Gamecock fan saying that Beamer needs to spend less time on Twitter, or the people saying that DJ needs to put down a Bowberry biscuit and the Dr. Pepper. I mean, come on, man. Really? That's where we're going? I mean, it's only going to get worse over these next couple of years now that NIL is here. At least it seems like it's here to stay for quite some time.
Yeah, I agree. About a minute left, Mike, so we got to be quick. 7 o'clock ESPN. The Gamecocks in Athens, the Classic City. What do you think, man? Can Carolina keep this one close?
Well, if Luke Doty is able to go out there, I do think it gives them an extra wrinkle into their offense, especially if he's healthy. That foot, having that soreness in his foot. I mean, he was hoping to be 100% last week. That wasn't the case. Shane Beamer said today during media availability that he's doing more in practice. If he's able to go out there, I think that gives them at least the chance, because as we saw with Clemson. If you stay in the pocket, Georgia's defensive line will just tee off on you. You need to be able to get outside the pocket, extend plays, and, whether it's Zeb Nolan or Luke Doty, if USC doesn't have that element in their offense, I think it's going to be a long, long day in Athens.
Mike Uva. Mike, buddy, great talking to you, my man.
Appreciate it, Swanee.
Follow him on Twitter at Mike_UVA. What a phenomenal job he does covering the South Carolina Gamecocks and your Clemson Tigers. Stay with us.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A look at the road shows a wreck on Blythewood at Boney, also an accident on Pine Knot at Long Cove. 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's Foods.
We did it. The Buy Low at 120 Forum Drive is now a full-fledged brand spanking chicken clucking brisket rubbing veggie chopping draft pouring new Lowe's Foods. The grand opening of your local Lowe's Foods is here. Get excited.
The COVID-19 pandemic continues to bring tremendous stress to HBCU students and many social, financial, educational, and mental health challenges to communities of color. The UNCF National Virtual Walk for Education raises funds to support historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, and the students they serve. Join us on September 18th for a virtual experience in honor of supporting HBCUs and their students. To register for the event, please go to uncf.org/National Walk.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor Cynthia Littleton and co-editor-in-chief Andrew Wallenstein. And once a month, executive editor of music Shirley Halperin will join the conversation to discuss the business of music. Listen to Strictly Business on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Fall is a season that's a little in the middle. It's sort of the best of two seasons. It's no longer a sweaty summer, but the winter chill is still around the corner. And that's the perfect time to feed and seed your lawn with Scott's Turf Builder. Even better than spring, because the soil is still warm, but the air is getting cool. So your lawn gets the most nutrients in the best combination of temperatures. Feed and seed now with Scott's Turf Builder and build the best lawn for every season. Scott's, it's good out here.
Scott here from Gamecock Traditions with some exciting news. Our second Gamecock Traditions will be opening September 17th. The new location will be at the Village in Sand Hills, across from the Center Fountain. Our layout is unique to any store we've done, but a store is only as good as the merchandise, staff, and pricing it carries, and this Gamecock Tradition is sure to please. We have worked nonstop to find products for every member of the family with pricing that won't be beat. We look forward to seeing you on September 17th. Gamecock Traditions, we don't just sell Gamecock merchandise, we're fans too.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
You can help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com. Do it today.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Clemson Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon. Feels like a Thursday. But it's a Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday, though, hump day. Again, we've got some Dabo Swinney audio coming up for you here in just a little bit on the show from earlier today as he sat down with the media. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Hope you all are doing well. And again, thank you for hanging out with us. We've got a little initiative, I guess you would say, a little drive for 500 times 2. Trying to drive to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube page. I think it's a reasonable goal. I honestly haven't checked it lately. I know we were closing in on 500 at last I checked, but go over there, like and subscribe. If you haven't done that, man, it'd be huge. If you would, help us continue to build what we're trying to do over there. And I said this past week I was going to upgrade the camera and stuff, and man, busy weekend. And the weekends are busy. I sometimes when I think about the website and the radio show and everything we do to cover Clemson, man, we certainly would love your support. Just $63.17 for 1 year of coverage. That's right, Gamecock Nation. Say it with me now. $63.17 to support us and help us continue to grow. But man, all the stuff that comes out over on our website, I'm just like, whew. I sung earlier. And then we also had a little, I sung a little Going Back to Cali. And we could also do the LL Cool J version, I guess, of that as well. And then we had a little Titanic theme music. Was it Whitney Houston? Breathe again, breathe again. Yeah, I need to breathe again sometimes on the weekends, man. Holy moly. It gets busy. All right, let's see what you all have been talking about. Those of you who have texted the program, those of you who have commented during the show. Let's dive right in. Nick says, hello, Swanee. Good afternoon. I just want to let you know, unfortunately, I shared the show. Nick, man, you were the kid that was always in the front office at school. I can tell. He just never learns. Never learns. Just walking laps, silent lunch, all of those negatives, Nick. Is that right? Man. Appreciate it, Nick. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you listening over there in Statesboro, Georgia. Linda also shared the show today. She said, woohoo! I guess I'll share. Oh, no. Linda did not. She didn't Homer Simpson woohoo, y'all. Linda is a woohooer at the game. So she woohoo, hoo-hoo-hooed us right into sharing the program. Thank you, Linda. Elad, I think his name's Dale, said, Lawton, I wish all 130 D1 teams played a random pick schedule with one game, a constant rival. Top 16 teams at the end of the year play a tournament to be the national champion. I'll trim it back a little bit for you. Let's just get to 68 teams, and the FCS starts their own thing. Or excuse me, the group of 5 starts their own thing, like the FCS. I don't know why group of 5 teams don't embrace it. It doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't you rather hoist a title? I know I would. Kyle, the honey king of the upstate's in the house today. Kyle, good to see you, man. I saw Kyle catching we did an encore edition of the program yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Phil says, Swanee, I checked out Oregon's schedule and Oklahoma's remaining schedule. And it looks bleak for anyone to beat those two teams. So there is a potential hiccup to a degree with the situation there when you think about it. And that is the fact that with the schedule remaining for Oregon, with the schedule remaining for Oklahoma, it has presented this issue the whole year for me, though. That those teams could go undefeated. Now, I tended to lean more in on Oklahoma and Ohio State previously, believing that Ohio State was going to win that game against Oregon. But the fact of the matter is that Oregon plays Stony Brook, Arizona, Stanford, which maybe after what Stanford did to Southern Cal, you think about that one a little bit more. California. But that UCLA game on October 23rd, man, the interest in that game with Chip Kelly, if these teams continue to win, you're talking about a top 4 team at that time and probably a top 10, top 8 UCLA team at that time. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the one to watch. Good chance for Oregon, certainly, to go undefeated through the regular season. Obviously, look, trying to figure out the conference championship game and who you'll be playing and, you know, what that will entail is too difficult at this point in the year. But a very good chance, sure, that they go undefeated. Also, taking a look at it, the Oklahoma Sooners schedule, again, survived Tulane by 5. That's not great for them. Crushed Western Carolina 70-6. They take on Nebraska this weekend on Fox at noon on Fox. They got West Virginia, Kansas State, Texas, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech, Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. I mean, the one you got to kind of hope for there is Iowa State, November the 20th. That game, however, is in Norman. Matt Campbell and his squad coming off of their loss this past weekend to Iowa. That's probably the test remaining for Oklahoma. So I still think, and I thought this at the beginning of the year, Alabama, Oklahoma, instead of Ohio State. Now I think you substitute in Oregon. And then that 4th spot, you know, kind of comes down to Clemson and Georgia and whatever happens the rest of the way. A lot of football left to be played. But all you can do if you're Clemson is just go out and play the best game you can each and every week. Just put on the best performance possible. And I don't think those other 2 teams, I will say this, I don't think Oregon or Oklahoma are invincible by any means.
The biggest stars from all genres of music will share one stage at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Coming to you from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
2 nights of performances you've never seen before. Streaming free on a CW app and CWTV.com. And listen on iHeartRadio this Friday and Saturday, starting at 10 p.m.
Capital One is the proud partner of the 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival, bringing great products, rewards, and services to their customers. What's in your wallet?
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports, we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Plus tags entitled with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. JT's Kia is paying up to $4,000 over book value for your trade. You could even get nearly what you paid for it. I can assure you this is not going to last. And when other dealers' shelves are bare, JT has the Kias you want. New 2022 Kia Telluride, Sorrentos, K5s. Credit concerns? Nobody works harder than JT to get you approved. Come get the most possible for your trade right now at JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road, JT'sKia.com.
It's Colin Coward. Here's what's trending from iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
After rallying the Raiders past the Ravens in a wild comeback win, Derek Carr did what Baker Mayfield couldn't. Everybody in the stadium knew Carr had to throw on that final drive. No timeout, 37 seconds, 2 plays, boom, boom, game-tying field goal. Derek has one stud to throw to, Darren Waller. Carr makes real money, carries a bad team, and was the best quarterback to me on the field last night. I'm Colin Cowherd. Style runs in the family. Athleticism runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs. Learn more at MBUSA.com or test drive one at your local dealer.
In 3 days, the biggest names in music come together on one stage to make history at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival in Vegas. Cheap Trick, Coldplay, Journey, Weezer, and so many more. Don't miss these once-in-a-lifetime moments as they happen live. Listen live Friday and Saturday night on the iHeartRadio Music Festival station exclusively on the free iHeart app. iHeartRadio. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker? Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
That sounds like a pretty good choice to me.
The show that shakes the Southland Clemson sports talk. Nobody else has got anything like it when it comes down to covering your Clemson Tigers. 2 powerful hours full each and every afternoon and a website to boot. Go check it out, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, and subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, man. We would love to have you do that. Again, we'll have some Dabo Swinney audio coming up for you here in just a little bit. I did see an interesting note, though, yesterday. And again, if you are a premium subscriber on our website, you probably saw this in our forums. ESPN put out their college football power rankings after week 2. And Clemson is sitting at number 7 right now in ESPN's power ratings. And look, I get it. Clemson hadn't looked great. I think Kyle Bonagura wrote Clemson's piece in that article. They've got Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Oregon 3, Oklahoma 4, Iowa 5, and Cincinnati 6. They said, quote, the Tigers put FCS foe South Carolina State to bed before the end of the first quarter and cruised to an easy 49-3 win. Considering the significant talent gap, the game served as more of an offensive tune-up for Clemson, which was held without a touchdown in its 10-3 loss to Georgia in the opener. Through 2 games, Clemson has yet to allow an offensive touchdown, which is incredible. I mean, truly incredible what Clemson's done defensively. I don't care who you're playing. And, I can remember games going afterwards to interview Brent Venables, who I told you yesterday I absolutely love interviewing and respect so much the job that he's done at Clemson. And, one of the things that would happen quite a bit is that you'd get into a game and in the waning moments, you'd give up a garbage touchdown. And to me, I think that's the thing that I really appreciate about when they do pull it off is I recognize how difficult it is because I've been the person standing there asking him, Coach, you play this great game. How frustrating is it to give up a late score? And it is. Here's what Venables had to say about just what Clemson has been able to do on that front this season.
Well, it's hard to do, to keep somebody out of the end zone. As I said after the game, if it was easy, a lot of people would do it. So you want to keep a perspective on it. Again, we're not beating our chest. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of areas that we've got to continue to improve. And I believe we will, because our guys' commitment, the way they've worked thus far, and the humility that they've shown. They're very hungry. They understand and recognize the standard. And again, up to this point, they have really embraced that.
Brent Venables there talking about what it takes to do what Clemson's done defensively and to be able to not just do it at your first teamers, but working your way on down. One other thing with Venables that I did want to get to here for you was the fact that you've got guys like Nolan Turner, who's been out, but a very valuable player for Clemson. His knowledge of the game. James Skalski the same way, Balin Spector the same way. And Venables was asked about, what those guys mean and bring to the table for the team.
They bring out the best in people, and that's what the great leaders can do. They're, again, for guys that have had a great deal of success, have been a part of a lot of really good teams. It's a very driven, small group of guys right there. Those two guys in particular, in Spector, very driven. You can't raise the standard high enough for them, and that's awesome when you have that. You can't coach that. Guys either have it or they don't. And I've had plenty of older guys that come back and don't have that same edge. They've I've done that, not necessarily a relaxed mindset, but just not the same hunger. And when you have it, though, you raise everybody's levels up.
Brent Venables there talking about, that hunger. And, I think it is interesting because a lot of these guys have had a taste of that national championship success and 2 seasons of the bitter ending, losing in the championship game 2 years ago, losing in the semifinals last year, and even more so, I think last year, losing to Ohio State, the way that game went down. I think that it's reminiscent of when Christian Wilkins and those guys lost in 2017 in New Orleans and had to sit there and cry it out about, how it felt like their careers were coming to an end, only to return and to go on this redemption tour and to win a national championship. And so I think for these guys, man, it's been a while, since they tasted that championship crown. And look, I don't know if they'll get it back. Certainly, we've talked about schedules that remain for other teams and what's going to happen. You're going to have to probably have a little luck here or there, but you got to handle your business. That's a for sure deal. All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Dabo Swinney. Now, he did make one note. Dietrich Pennington, freshman offensive lineman, going to be out for the year with an ACL injury. Hate that for Dietrich. Certainly hate it for Clemson's offensive line. They've already had some woes, and I'm not telling you he was going to be the next big thing in 2021, but you don't want to lose any more players than you have to. And Clemson's already lost John Williams, Taquan Johnson. A couple of offensive linemen already down for Clemson. And that's not exactly a strength for the Tigers. So that's another little developing story. And there's a lot of concern from Clemson Tiger fans about the offensive line before the season. And now as they get a little bit thinner, I don't think those conversations or concerns are going to go away. All right, when we come back, I said we'd play some Dabo Swinney for you today. We've got some Coach Swinney coming up here on the program. I don't know where 2 hours went, man. I feel like I was just arguing with you about or just getting with you about schedules 5 minutes ago. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I don't know if this show goes as fast for you as it does for me, but it absolutely flies. I mean, it absolutely flies for me on my end. All right, so we're going to hit a break. We'll come back. Final segment. We'll hear from Coach Dabo Swinney here on the show that shakes the Southland. Keep it locked for more of the People Show, Clemson Sports Talk.
A big challenge calls for a big broadcast. So join 103.5 FM and 560 AM WVOC for the best Gamecock coverage Saturday afternoon. Hey, it's Christopher Thompson. We'll get you ready for the game from Savage Craft Ale Works in West Columbia. Starting at 4 Saturday afternoon, we take you right up to kickoff at 7 with those second-ranked Georgia Bulldogs on ESPN. The best Gamecock coverage Saturday afternoon from Savage Craft Ale Works in West Columbia on WVOC.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today, GreatSouthernHomes.com.
Imagine a disease that can hurt any part of your body, like your joints, heart, kidneys. Your immune system becomes so hyperactive that it attacks instead of protects. That's lupus. You don't look sick, so no one knows you feel awful. You also may know someone who has it. Join us for Lupus Research Alliance's virtual Many One Can. Walk with us to cure lupus, October 2nd at noon. No one can cure it alone, but many one can. Visit walk.lupusresearch.org to register now.
Come on down to Jay's Vape and Wellness Center. Open 24 hours with the best prices on disposable e-cigs like Biddy, $11. Cali Plus, $13. Jewel Pod 4-pack, $15. Views Alto 4-pack, $17. Big selection of glass water pipes. Roar, Mav, Illadelph, Puffco Peak. Flavored whipped cream chargers, 48 packs for $25. Huge selection of hookahs and shisha. Nitrous tanks, $60 even after tax. Open 24 hours. Jay's Vape and Wellness Center, downtown Columbia.
Are you in the market for a diamond but aren't sure what to get? For example, do you buy a mine diamond or are you thinking about lab grown? Hey, this is Scott with Traditions Fine Jewelers, and we want to help you decide because at Traditions, we carry a large selection of both mined and lab grown diamonds. A mine diamond is traditional. It was formed in the earth millions of years ago and was discovered and cut specifically for you. The idea of getting something discovered and cut just for you is so romantic, it can make the start of your forever together ring unforgettable. A lab-grown diamond is just what it says, a diamond grown in a laboratory that has all the same characteristics as a mine diamond. It's graded just like a mine diamond, and the FTC has even ruled that lab-grown diamonds should be called diamonds because that's what they are. What's great about lab is that you can get a much larger size lab-grown diamond for the same price of a mine diamond, and getting a larger stone is very attractive to many people. Traditions Fine Jewelers staff is ready to help you find the perfect diamond just for you, mined or lab-grown. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. Not on my watch, they say, as they leave their families behind to keep the rest of ours safe. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve, the therapists they need to walk again, the treatment they need to talk again, the lifetime of day-to-day help they need to live full and independent lives. When there's no more government funding, or a nursing home seems like the only option, or everyone says there's no hope for recovery, we won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Tuesday. Thank you to Mike Yuva for joining us earlier in the show. Thank you for being a part of the program. Be here tomorrow 4 to 6, 4 to 6 on Thursday, 4 to 6 on Friday. That's how we do it. We're here 4 to 6 for you. Drive Time, the show that shakes the Southland. Podcasted, yes. On Facebook, yep. Twitter, yep. YouTube, yep. And subscribe over there on YouTube. We're going for 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal. That's a starting goal. I'd love to have 10,000. I can't believe some of these people have like 127,000 subscribers. Let's get to 1,000, then we'll start talking about 120,000. All right, so I promised you some Dabo Swinney audio. We got it for you here on the show on a Wednesday afternoon, a Tuesday afternoon. I threw myself off talking about the days of the week here on a Tuesday afternoon. Is Dabo Swinney from earlier today, just talking about jumping into league play as Clemson opens up with Georgia Tech coming up this Saturday in Death Valley.
Excited about ACC play kicking off. We got 7 straight conference games, and the next goal for us is very simple. It's win the division. So that starts this week. That's what's in front of us, and we know that we got a lot of improving to do to be the type of team we want to be overall and in this league. Our next challenge is Georgia Tech, and they are a much improved team in all areas. They had a kind of a crazy opener with Northern Illinois, who's a good team, a good program. And I think that's the danger of openers when you don't know a lot about the teams. And they came out there and I think they caught them off guard from a schematic standpoint with some of their unbalanced sets and things that really hurt them. It was a hard fought type. They went for 2 to win it. And it was a heartbreaker for them. But they bounced back. I think that's a sign of their maturity as well and their culture growing. They bounced back this past week and played really, really well. So I think they're a much, much improved team. You can see that belief growing in what they do. They're committed and believe in their philosophy and what they do. I think that's important.
Dabo Swinney there talking about the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Again, last season, Clemson just beat them pillar to post, 73-7 over in Atlanta. And, look, I think that as fans, man, to imagine getting beat up like that at this point, being a Clemson fan, it is hard to think about what Georgia Tech fans have been feeling, perhaps all off season, just kind of waiting to get back at this one. I would expect a much better performance for the Yellow Jackets, although Clemson is a big favorite. And I do think that Clemson at the end, will take care of business against Georgia Tech, probably by a wide margin. I just don't believe it'll be what it was a year ago. I mean, that was an unbelievable game. Just everything kind of going Clemson's way. Now, last night, I don't know how many of you had a chance to watch some of the NFL, but Hunter Renfrow and that stadium, man, out in Las Vegas, whew, that's impressive. But here's Dabo Swinney talking about if you had a chance to watch any of those guys on Sunday or maybe even Monday, as former Clemson Tigers now litter the NFL.
Sunday. I saw just bits and pieces, more highlights. Sundays are long days, and some days I get more opportunity than others, but I didn't get much time this past Sunday to see many games. I get the updates, though. Clay usually fills me in on what happened that day. I know Nuke had a great day. T had a touchdown. I think Mike Williams had a big day. So I was kind of hoping that Sammy and Renfrow would have a big Monday, and I did get to see, a little bit of that last night as we were finishing up here. And then I was trying to go to bed, and then I couldn't go to bed because both teams kept screwing it up. And it's like, who's going to win this game? Like, who's going to win the game? And so that was a wild one. But how much fun was that, man? And Sammy had a big game. And Renfrow had a big game. Big John Simpson in there, getting a start at guard. And, Trayvon. So it's always fun to see those guys play. But Renfro's Renfrow. He kind of does what he does, and And Sammy had some monster plays as well. And, it's always fun every time I get a chance to see Lamar Jackson play. I mean, he's one of my favorite players all time. Got mad respect for that guy. He's as difficult a player as I've ever had to prepare for. So always fun to watch him. It was a heck of a football game and kind of some crazy situational stuff that came up in the game. So I did get to see a good bit of that one last night. And
Dabo Swinney mentioning.
That's about it.
Well,
I'm proud of all those guys.
Won't stop playing. Stop, Dabo. Stop it. Got him. Dabo Swinney there mentioning Lamar Jackson. We were doing a what if article a while back, and I never did publish it, but I need to go back into it. Lamar Jackson, could have come to Clemson. What if he'd have been the guy bridging the gap between Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence? Let's think about that for the next 24, huh? Whew. Man, even watching him last night, that kid is still cat-like speeding quickness. But what if he had come and backed up Deshaun and then played for 2 seasons as the starting quarterback in between Deshaun and Trevor? Ooh-wee. All right, we got to get out of here. Thank you for hanging out. Until tomorrow, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox